Kia ora everyone. Thanks for coming along today to the 2024 Selwyn Funding Forum.
Rātā Foundation. Afternoon, everyone. This thing involved here? Yeah. So here today, just tell you a little more about the Rātā Foundation, what we do. I think we're quite well known throughout our region, but we've had a little bit of focus change over the last couple of years. So I'm just going to talk to that, just to try and give you some clarity on that. Okay, so about so today's presentation, 4 key areas: support where it's needed most, making a difference, 5 funding areas, and funding priorities. As you can tell, we're making a difference. Okay, let me just see where I. Okay, funding area. So if you want to have a read of that, as we go through, I'll bring up some points. Have a read. These ones will be really key for the environment, climate, future, generations to come, generations to thrive, looking after communities, removing barriers. Basically, what we're trying to do is we want to target our funding to where it will benefit the most and make the most difference. If you have any questions on anything like this, or actually if you're struggling to read, if you have type impairment like that, let me know. I can read through, but if you're struggling with any of this, just let me know. Now we're getting to the crux of what we do. Before, we used to be an organisation that would support, if you put an application in and you did good stuff for the community, you would most likely get funding. Now what we recognise is that there are communities out there that struggle more than others. And so our funding is now targeting those communities, so we know it makes the most difference to those communities. So those communities I was talking about, they have more barriers than what other communities have. And so our funding is to support organisations remove those barriers. I can give you an example. I'll give you an example later on. So these are some of the communities or groups that we understand or recognise that are struggling right now. So it could be the low socioeconomic status, cultural ethnicity, those with disabilities. We're focusing on young females as well. We had an interesting application where there was an application coming to support young women to participate in sport, and it was really great application because it talked about reducing social isolation, physical fitness, good company, enjoying each other, having a bit of fun. But then we found out it was actually for a private school. So we were trying to align what we're talking about in terms of communities that have barriers, that face barriers. Typically, communities that can go to private schools don't have as many barriers as others. So you may say that you're working with those with disability or those with diverse sexual orientation, but we need to dig deeper because some communities actually can. They can actually fundraise. They can actually get resourcing to support what they're doing. So we dig deep now. Having fun. Small grants, typically like you make an application, it's around about a 10-week turnaround. Large grants, up to 4 months. More questions, the more money you ask for, the more questions we're going to ask. I think it's as simple as that. Building projects, that's a capital space. So if you have a facility that requires some kinds of upgrades, or you're looking to build a new facility, capital space is for those projects that are over 100,000. Strengthening the sector is around, we want our organisations to do what they do well. If you're not doing well and they're trying to support community, then at times they struggle, at times they're making stuff wrong. So our strengthening the sector expectations is that an organisation identifies that they have an issue and they can then come to us, have a discussion, can we help you? So if you have an issue around, a recent one I had was they wanted to build some capability within the organisation. What we would do is we would look to contribute to bringing someone in to help that organisation develop that capability. We don't tell you who to get, but it's about making sure that you strengthen your practice. Community loans, that can be for, in a lot of cases at the moment, it's for housing or for upgrades of facilities or to put solar onto a facility and stuff like that. Not an area we deal with, but it is something that we offer. So we fund here, Canterbury, Marlborough, Nelson, and like Belinda said, we also go to the Chatham Islands. So who we fund? You have to be basically one of these types of organisations, corporate society and charity. These are the ones that we fund. We don't fund individuals. So why organisations love us? We can fund operating costs. That's the bane of every organisation's existence. It's just something that allows you to pay some wages, turn some lights on, pay some rent. So we do operating costs. Building projects, that's about facilities again, that enable equitable access to facilities and services to those communities that we know that face barriers. And capacity building is around strengthening the sector, that's what I was referring to before. Don't fund individuals, projects outside of our funding regions. As an example, if you were to bring someone down to do a presentation to one of your communities to upskill them, we would help support that. If you try and fly people out, then we won't. So we're getting into we have 5 priorities. The first one is we have learn, connect, participate, support, and sustain. The important part of these ones is the part involved is we want to have equal opportunities to learn throughout their lives and the pathway to reach their potential. So it's not just focusing on young, it's focusing on all ages, because as long as we're still learning, we're still growing, reaching our potential. So when you go through making application, as you read this, you'll start to see yourself as an organisation within these words. This is the stuff that we're interested in. This is where we seek alignment. So say, for example, you've got running costs throughout the year. Yeah, we're mildly interested in your running costs. We're really interested in what are the outcomes that you're trying to achieve as an organisation. How will what you do support your community to be better, to reach those outcomes that you as an organisation have to support them? So as you start to read this, just sort of understand, oh, this is where our organisation fits. Now, don't get me wrong, you may see yourself in 3 or 4 slides, which is okay, because that's what community groups do. But when you're going to make an application to us, tell us the strongest alignment. So with sustain is a couple of points in this one. One is about caring for our environment, but the other one is around improving and increasing effectiveness for community organisations. Again, that's that part around strengthening the sector. Wanted to make sure that you guys are in peak condition to support your community. Application tips. Two main ones I can give you. One, go to our website. Dig deep into our website. Two, give us a ring. Talk to one of our advisors at Rātā. Ask your questions. We can help you. It's just as valuable for us to tell you, actually, there's no alignment. There's very little alignment. Don't waste your time making an application. Because you get your hopes up, you submit an application, you get your hopes up, then you come back in 3 months' time, sorry, you've been declined. So give us a ring. We can give you some guidance. We'll come out and help you if you or someone mentioned if they could do written paper. We'll come out and support you and help you log in and all that kind of stuff. We'll even help you type it out, but it's your words that we're putting in there. We're not going to interpret your words and put our words on there. It's your words that we'll put there. Don't write a book, please. Don't write a book. We love bullet points. Bullet points are good because you have to be a little bit clearer, be succinct, so that we get the points that you're trying to tell us. If you're writing a book, then I've had to go through paragraph to paragraph trying to actually understand what you're telling us and actually pick up those nuggets of gold that may be in there. Bullet points help you to focus that. So don't write a book. We get about over 1,000 applications a year, so we don't have time to read every book. Oh, thank you.
By some lucky chance you're successful with around and you get some funding maybe for a government project or for some operating, does that then sort of have a finite time limit that in 5 years' time you're supposed to be on your own feet, sort of self-sustaining, or is there sort of a trickle feed that might go on over a long period of time? Are there any sort of criteria around sort of the length of support? How much hand-holding might be available?
Yeah, great question. You know, that's we give out X millions a year, but that's the $1 million question all the time. There are going to be some organisations that are always going to require support because not-for-profits are about not making profit and putting back into the community. What we try and hope that you do is that you become more sustainable and that then the pull on funders like us will start to decrease. The other problem is that, so like I was saying at the beginning, we used to be a funder for all. And if you could demonstrate you actually did some good in the community, we will give you something. Now we have a focus. And so what I'm saying there is that each trust, each funder, every year have an opportunity to change what they want to fund. So you may not, you may have aligned for the last 5 years, new criteria and priorities come in. Your organisation doesn't align anymore. So yeah, we know some organisations will be there for a long time, and as long as they align, we will support them. But we do hope that they start to look at their sustainability, where that funding is coming from, because you don't want to just be reliant on funders.
You talked about community alignments. Do you have some sort of guidance around that? It's like, is there a certain loan rate or the amount that you're lining I guess, tell them to be straight perhaps.
Yeah. So community loans, just like a mortgage, our finance people get involved on that side. The questions they ask us is there alignment with our priorities? And then we'll do an investigation, and if we say there is, yep, all good, then you start to have the conversation with our finance people. Typically, we like something to be paid back within 10 to 15 years. We have we use bank rate, we're cheaper than a bank. But as there is more risk, and when we talk about risk, if we're the first security on a property or something like that, then there's a lower rate. If we're the second or the third, then it goes up. Typically nothing under $1 million in terms of a community loan. But you can give me a ring and I can have a chat to you about that. And then if I can see alignment, then we start to bring to our finance people who come in and it gets checked. And we want to make sure that if a community loan goes out, it can be serviced. Because we don't want to see ourselves on the front page of the paper saying that Rātā Foundation is taking this precious land or this precious building that's doing good to pay back a loan. So we don't want to do that. All good. So if you have questions later on, just be everything.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sebastian from Public Trust, and this is Leigh. We're both in the Christchurch office. Very accessible to start Heritage Street if you want to come in to chat. Otherwise, obviously, on the end of the phone or by email, our contact details will be at the end of this. Public Trust is a Crown entity. Some people are not aware of that. I was talking to someone actually from funding organisation, and they think it was a private company. It's not. Perpetual Guardian exists as a private company, it's a private banking company. Public Trust has got a really interesting history. It's the first trustee company ever set up in the world. Set up 150 years ago on the inspiration of Julius Vogel, who saw the number of widows after the Boer War who were ripped off by people who pretended to be able to look after their property and basically took them to the cleaners and left them destitute. And he thought, well, we can't have this. So he persuaded his colleagues to set up Public Trust, which is a model followed around the Commonwealth and in Britain. So nice story there. All of our trusts are set up by individuals. So individuals come to us and they say, well, we'd like to give money or property to support the community in perpetuity. What can you do for us? And either they set a trust up in their lifetime, or they set it up by their will. So nowadays we've got 440 charitable trusts. Unfortunately, mostly, unfortunately from your perspective, mostly located in the North Island and focused on the North Island. Otherwise, if not for the North Island, we've got a number where we've got discretion, such as the trusts we're going to talk about later on there. But otherwise, most of they're set up for named beneficiaries. So someone wants to support, for example, SPCA or blind vision in perpetuity or something. Now, we've got a charities team. As I said, Leigh and I down here. 7 of us spread out across the country. The trusts we're going to talk about, these ones are all ones which you could potentially apply for. David Ellison, unfortunately, Festival Funding Grant has just shut literally last night, shut this year. We had 102 applications, and I'm sure other funders are finding the same thing, that the number of applications they're getting is just going up and up. So last year we had 86, and 2 years ago to 74. So obviously increased need and demand and competition for funding there. David Ellison also has, as well as the contestable grant, it's got the innovative project grant for that. And the trust, the trust wants to fund organisations who want to test something new, and it's got to be new. So the way we do this is we have the expressions of interest round, which runs in November. And the board looks at the applications that come in and then invite a number of organisations to put in the full application, which has to be in by the end of what we call the following year. That provides $30,000 per year for 3 years. So it's a good sized grant, and we're very keen to support organisations who apply and pursue funding from us in their ongoing efforts, for example, to provide endorsements to other funders. David Ellison exists to maintain and improve the particular writing done. It's on the public trust website, but just to give you a flavour. To maintain and improve children's health, education and well-being in New Zealand and overseas, where the primary focus of the trust is in the Christchurch area. To provide preventative education and support and to improve the quality of life for at-risk families. To maintain and improve the quality of life and health and aid families and poverty-stricken communities. Slightly old-fashioned language there. And through New Zealand charitable organisations to provide disaster relief and aid in crisis situations overseas. Another trust we've got is the Top H Parliament Trust, and that's to support youth, basically. For organisations that support and promote welfare of underprivileged persons in all age groups, but with preference being given for young persons. This trust was set up, I think, in the 1930s, I think. Originally, it was a UK trust. Now, the Infrastructure, Education and Training Charitable Trust, they do that, talk about that.
I'll talk about this infrastructure, education and training charitable trust. So this infrastructure, education and training charitable trust is a very new trust. It was established in 2021 by the organisation called Infrastructure Industry Training Organisation Incorporated. This is a fairly sizable trust. Every year they give out up to $1 million to the community. So the trust's purpose is to help to develop and promote and facilitate education and training within the infrastructure industry. And the applicants, we usually accept applications from organisations to partner with two providers. Excuse my Maori pronunciation, Pukina Work-Based Learning Limited, and Waihanga Ala Rural Construction and Infrastructure, WVC. So these organisations who are applying for this grant would normally, what you would do is that you would provide scholarship, grant, or something similar to individuals who are in vocational training on an infrastructure related qualification or working in the infrastructure sector. I think we all understand what this infrastructure definition is. Basically, it is in an area of building, energy. There are some specific criteria which are listed on the Public Trust website. I just read out quite basic ones where the sectors this incorporation support is mostly in the area of civil construction, green waters, energy, and telecommunications. So this trust accept application nationwide, so including Selwyn. If you know people in around South Island or North Island who are in this industry interested in private grant, feel free. This trust runs two go rounds per year. And the last one will close. The next one is opening on the 3rd of July 2024. And as I did mention, the trust does get out up to $1 million per year. Individual each grant, the trust will give out no more than $150,000 And for large projects, it can go up to $500,000. The next one I will introduce is the estate memorial. Lovely lady left a legacy to support people in need. It's also nationwide. Purpose of this estate, it's a registered charity. As Sebastian mentioned, that originated from this lady's will. And this trust supports people who organisations that funds for a specific project that provide humanitarian aid to women or older people. So say, for example, in an organisation, I can't think of one, in the community, that's what you do. Your purpose is to help women or elderly people around the country, including Selwyn. And you think you provide funds for the specific project. Feel free to have a look on our website. Unfortunately, this trust the annual one finished in end of April. But it's something you could look into if you know somebody or you are interested in coming up with a project. Have a look at the criteria. You might just be able to get some funds to support people in need.
I think we're up against our time, so I'll be really quick. Royal and Dixie is for general charitable purposes. So education, health, relief of poverty, etc. It's focused on the Greater Christchurch area, but I'm sorry to say that it doesn't include Selwyn District or Banks Peninsula. So really, it shouldn't be mentioning it since it's Selwyn. So it's Christchurch City, Waimakariri, and Kurunui District. Now, this is just our search engine, very easy to use. Just go onto the Public Trust website and look for the find a grant of scholarship. Just click on that. Rather than that, just click on the enter keywords the trusts which might be able to help you. What's an application tips rather like our colleague from Rātā? While we're reading those, I just say when we had the most recent David Ellison Trust Innovative Project Grant Round, what was really disappointing was the number of applications where the applicants haven't been funding criteria. Such a waste of their time. So we just had to turn them down. The other key thing, obviously, is apply by the closing date. Can't get an extension. But let's just have a read through those. I'll get some useful tips there. Order. And that's just a bit of a charity scheme we are. And then our contact details. Please get in touch if you'd like to. No,
Good, there we go. Good, very informative. Good Sean, Kurukoto, called Sean Takawanwa. I'm Sean, I'm branch manager of Baines at Riccarton. This is Nick, the new local branch manager here in Wollaston. Based in the community, so any banking questions, not going to go ask him by name and he will help you out. Absolutely.
He just asked the undoing question that these children and I can talk about what we're going to be.
Yeah.
People look like brilliant. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the ANZ New Zealand Star Foundation. This is the charity that probably isn't widely advertised enough. So maybe your first time hearing about it. As it says, this is the Star Foundation, so it is funded by the staff of ANZ. So our core values at ANZ are creating a community to help people in communities thrive. Here are some good examples of this, and the Star Foundation operates in line with that. So we want to get out there. It's not focused on any particular area of New Zealand. We would like to support the whole of New Zealand. Our staff are based all throughout New Zealand, from the top of the north all the way down to the bottom of the south. And we want to support communities all throughout. We're one of New Zealand's largest leaders in payroll giving. We have 1,600 staff that contribute regular amounts from the after-tax salaries and wages. The way it works is effectively us as staff, we choose to donate a certain amount of our salary each fortnight to the Staff Foundation. And then ANZ matches that at a rate of $2 for every dollar that we donate at start. So we're always looking to, I guess, motivate and encourage our staff to donate. Obviously, cost of living crisis hits everyone, including ourselves. So we've seen those donations decrease slightly over recent sort of months, unfortunately. But typically that falls to around $500,000 every 6 months that we can donate and contribute out there to the community. Since inception in 2000, the foundation has distributed over 10 million in grants to 1,100 charity projects nationwide, which is a pretty big achievement.
Also, a few questions answered on this page, tracking your charity apply. So we run 2 funding rounds per year, one that closes in around the middle of February. Give or take, depending on if there's a public holiday, and one that closes in around the middle of August. The February funding rounds, all applicants get notified by late April, and those funds are tended to be used between May and October of that year. The August funding rounds will be notified late October with funds used between November and April. Best thing we can suggest people do now, if you're interested in the ANZ Staff Foundation, is sign up and create a profile on our online hub. So if you search ANZ Staff Foundation, you'll find a lot of the information we're talking about today. On our website, you can then check your eligibility, review our terms and conditions, and prepare your applications. And a lot of the instances you can see today will apply to us as well. Submit early is the best advice that we can give. Then we can obviously review the application, let you know if anything's missing, and the funds close in.
So check your eligibility. So all this information is available on our website as well. Generally take photos or anything, it is all there, it is all clear. Effectively, we support registered New Zealand charities whose work fulfills one or more of the following purposes. To assist in the promotion of financial literacy, provide opportunities for all New Zealanders to achieve economic and social independence, provide access to learning opportunities that prepare people for meaningful work and a higher quality of life, to assist people working together to create viable and secure communities, to assist communities to conserve New Zealand's natural and historic resources. In terms of the amount of the grants, so we look to do a maximum of $25,000 per charity per funding round. And if your accounts aren't audited, so you may be a smaller charity, then that's a maximum of $12,000. So what we don't fund, there is a little bit of a list there, but effectively the types of applications that we'd like to fund are project-based applications. The funding that we give you does need to be used within that 6-month window that we grant the funding for. Some recent examples of funding that we've been involved in, so assistant dog training, so you may have heard that, obviously everyone knows about. So I see dogs to help blind people, but these are dogs that may help people who are impaired in other ways. So the training of the dog, for example, that can then be going out to the community and get someone to look after. Counselling sessions that are specifically targeted potentially for grief, mental health, mental wellness. Recent one we did is to help with the relocation of native birds from an island into an eco sanctuary. So it's very wide and it's very broad. But the key is these are all specific project based. We can see them, we can see whether or not we're funding the full amount, whether they have funding for extra, if it's a large part of the project. And there's going to be outcomes and it's going to be seen within the 6 months. Ideally, we try to shy away from operational costs, from wages, things like that, but everything is based and judged on its merits. Effectively, the Staff Foundation and the board, when we get these requests, we reach out to the applicants to find out more about the organisations. We then talk to referees so we can get a third-party aspect on how things are going. And then as a board, we get into the room together and basically go through the merits of each application to make sure it's in line with what we're looking for. And we do try to fund and spread that funding throughout New Zealand. We don't get a lot of applications from the South Island, unfortunately. So we're always looking to spread that further. So, you know, if your organisation down south, a community like this, that potentially would increase your chances because we get a lot less applications. Requirements like this.
Right, so in regards to preparing the application, as Phil mentioned, the foundation can only give funds to New Zealand registered charities, which is why some of these other organisations are excluded. All the contact people on your application must belong to or be employed by the applicant. So that's obviously people like the chairperson and the manager. You will need a referee, so someone who is independent from you, to put themselves forward as an independent referee for the charity. Someone potentially who's benefited from some of the past. We no longer prioritise applications supported by ANZ staff members. That used to be the case, but you're obviously welcome to include details of the ANZ. Of course, that you know. In regards to the information we need, we talked about obviously the annual financial accounts. So we get a copy of your most recent annual accounts signed by the chairperson and a chartered financial accountant. If these are audited, obviously it does limit the amount of funding we can you can apply for to $12,000. If the annual accounts are more than 6 months old, we do obtain that. So that can be from an system 0.
To keep those accounts as well, really just to make sure that there is good financial management of the organisation. We don't support a charity that has they're making a loss every year, a large amount of debt and funds. You should worry that they're going to go to the right place. So it's effectively just a double check on that. If we have questions, we'll ask you. I haven't come across any applications I've looked at that have had any issues within that space. But it's really just making sure that to give us confidence that the funds we give you will go to the right place. These are confident in the distribution of those funds. So if the application is successful, so obviously there's some good news and you have those application funds delivered to you. The funds must be spent within 6 months from the time of receipt of those funds. So for the August funding rounds, it's meant by 30th of April the following year. With February, it's meant by 31st of October. If you haven't spent the grant within that 6 months, or there's been some potential factors that make execution of the project no longer possible, then do let us know, give us earlier notice. If it's just been pushed back by a couple of months, then we may be able to retain those funds with you guys. Obviously, we've granted the gift, we want you to use those funds for that project. Some things are out of our control, but do contact us. Communication is obviously key there. And we will consider an extension and exception circumstances there. For audit purposes for ourselves, the trust, we do require an accountability report. So that basically demonstrates that you've spent the funds on what you said you're going to spend them on. And as part of that, a summary of the expenditure and supporting it. So that could be payroll records, it could be invoices. It's just something to track where the funds are actually going. Communications. So some organisations that we do fund get involved with, they're happy to for us to use them and talk about them in ANZ media releases or share these with the staff. Obviously, as staff, we're the ones contributing the funds, so we like to know where they go. So some organisations will film videos so we can actually see the funds going, make sure that it is having a positive impact on the community. And that sort of stuff just generates more people to donate and give, which increases the overall pool of charities as well. So it's definitely a positive there. If there are surplus funds, let's say you ask for 20,000 and you only need to spend 18, then we will ask you to return the residual funds in full so they can be gifted to another charity that needs those as well. So you don't end up using the funds, anything over $300 we will ask in return.
And that's just sort of further summarises what Sean was touching on before in terms of the kind of activities we can help to fund. If you do look on our website, you will get a list on the 6-monthly basis of what charities we've funded, to what degree and what the reason is behind it. So that can actually be quite useful as we sort of mentioned in terms of bulk application together. A few individuals for ones you can see there already there, age concern rates and computer. There was a camp for children with Crohn's and colitis. So we funded that, which was nice.
A wide variety of you can watch those videos, give you a flavour of what we like to support in that we have in the community. But do get in touch on our website. There are details we'll take you through directly. This time we looked at Rātā Foundation, ask them any questions, and we'll be happy to give you guidance. Flip them an email. We want you guys to put forward good applications. We want to support as many charities as we can. So that if you do have questions, absolutely reach out and we can help you put that together so it does get past the scrutinisation and through the funding rounds. Cool. Any questions, Adam? No, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that brings us to the end of our presentations for today. I just want to say a big thank you to all of our funders who have come here this afternoon, some locally, some from Christchurch and further afield. Appreciate them sharing their knowledge and opportunity for our Selwyn community.